Welcome. Today's episode is going to be focused on the World Juniors. This is going to be a ton of fun. My opinion for myself. Hopefully you guys enjoy. But I picked the team. It took me hours and hours. I had a lot of fun with this. I couldn't decide on a few of the last picks. Are really tricky. Team Canada is absolutely loaded with talent for the under 20s World Junior Championship. So we're on the day, December 26th. So the rosters had to be in. When I started the Dynasty, that was my one thing. I just made myself head coach of this team because it's a lot of fun. Other years, I try to work my way up. You got to start as lower level teams and get your reputation up. I was like, it's just a video game, so make it fun. I just want to control Team Canada. I really was excited to coach Connor Bedard, but unfortunately, in the game, he has had a 3 to 4 month hip injury, so he was not eligible for the World Juniors because of the injury. So that puts a big sting in Canada's chances. But with how deep we are, it's still a fantastic team. So there's been a couple other surprises. I actually took the team they in real life and made sure I checked up on all those guys and was thinking about taking the exact same team. But then Bedard was injured and there's a few minor changes. So for the most part, I took almost everyone. But I did make a few small changes on my own based on guys being a little bit different in the game. So the bad news is Bedard not being there. But the good news is we actually added somebody who's an absolute superstar in the game. Wyatt Johnson was available. He, in the real life, was called up to the NHL and played a full 82 games this year, coming off an absolutely dominant junior season last year with 124 points. He was clearly too good for the OHL and ready for the NHL. As a 19-year-old, former pretty high pick there. He was the 23rd pick of the first round. But in this game, he was sent back to the OHL this year, and he's dominating for the London Knights with an 82 game score. So he is going to be our captain as a 19-year-old. Absolutely ridiculous rated. So pretty much the World Juniors, Canada's so loaded. Most of the guys on the rosters for the World Juniors, as we'll check on in a second here, have pretty much all like 12, 13s for the other teams. Like the best players will be like 13, 12 in mostly offense, maybe 10, 11 in defense, and like a 12 skater. So you can see with this guy that the dark green and a couple blues there, he is just far and away probably the best player of the tournament, maybe minus a couple other superstars. But yeah, he is just ratings-wise, he's like a freaking NHL player right now. So to get him, who wasn't on the World Junior team in real life for the winter games, it kind of replaces Bedard as a similar type skill. Obviously, Bedard's like pretty rare and special, maybe better, but you know what I'm saying with that. So Wyatt Johnson's going to be our first line center as superstar. Shane Wright, I'm actually going to play him on the right wing. Canada was a pretty weak at right wing this year. And I figured with how loaded Canada always is at center, to have a right shot Shane Wright playing on the wing with Wyatt Johnson, that first line would just be pretty unstoppable. So I decided to actually make him the right winger for the first line. Such a fantastic skater in the game. The ratings, probably just as good as Wyatt Johnson ratings-wise. Might be kind of silly not to have that guy in the center, but doesn't really matter with how good Canada is. Obviously, center, right wing, he's going to get lots of play time. Positions aren't as important as they used to be. So he's so fantastic defensively. I might change that around during the tournament depending on how stuff goes. Injuries always happen. Got to move lines around. But for now, I'm actually going to plan, especially on the power play, to have Shane Wright and Wyatt Johnson together on the first line. So that's pretty exciting. And I decided to make the left winger Brandon Ottman. Brandon Ottman is a junior hockey teammate of Shane Wright, so I thought that'd be cool to have the, first of all OHL line in the first line. As an Ontario guy, I came from myself, but Brandon Ottman, just the chemistry with the two teammates there. They actually don't have the chemistry in the game, unfortunately, but just for fun. He has such a fantastic shot, such a good two-way player, really good stick checking, pretty solid 12 and 13 positioning and defensive read, solid skater, really good leader, teamwork, 19-year-old on the first line, big body, 6 foot, 175. So just thought that would be a nice compliment to those other two superstars, to just kind of be the all-around player that everyone looks for, to get the kind of balance on the first line. So between that and the chemistry and all that, so I just thought that was a good fit. So that's gonna be our first line, and then the second line is gonna be Fantilli in the middle. So Fantilli is just incredible too offensively, really good defensive, a big physical checker, fantastic skater, and elite leadership qualities for his age. So guy that I'm not expecting back as 19-year-old next year. He'll probably be like a top 2 pick in the NHL draft in the game. In real life, he would just went 3rd in real life. Really fantastic player. So pretty scary to have him on the second line, as he'd be the best player in most of the other teams. So we got Adam Fantilli on the second line. And then we have on the second line, I'll go back to the screen. I did the depth chart up on Excel so you can see it a little better. Has all the ages and who they are. So Colton Dack I got on the second line. Colton Dack, the younger brother of Kirby Dack, is a big physical 6'4", really good season last year with almost 80 points in the WHL there, plus 25, plus minus. Just a really good all-around player, kind of like Brandon Ottman, but even bigger at 6'4". Can play a lot of center too, so we can actually move him around a little bit during the tournament. A big bodied center, but a perfect third and fourth line center for this team. So he's going to be. I might actually kind of flip flop with him and Ottman in the first line to see who's playing better. But really cool, big body, 6'4". So we had 6'4" on the left wing, and then a huge physical Adam Fantilli in the middle in that second line. And then on the right wing, I decided to complement that with the ultra speedy Logan Stankoven, who was fantastic in real life, one of the leading points getters for the tournament. So I just thought that was a good compliment. You have the two physical guys, and that kind of makes him a little bit safer on the right side, protects him a little bit. Just an amazing all-around player. Had 104 points last year, a plus 46 for Kamloops. Just an incredible junior hockey player. With the 16 speed, I thought Fantilli just like slinging passes, and Colton Dack being able to move the puck around so well, just being able to sling passes up the seam to Stankoven there. I made Stankoven in the game under his role what do you call it there? A speedy forward. So it's hopefully to hit a lot of home run balls from Fantilli, who I set up as a playmaker. First line I made right, the playmaker, and Johnson, the sniper. It could go either way, honestly. And then Dak is the aggressive forechecker. So that's a really loaded top two lines. Got some good size and then got some good speed and finishing ability. And all of them are pretty much good passers and solid all-around players. So then you get to the bottom six there. I got Roy, who I actually was originally going to put Shane Wright in center, Roy on the wing, but I flip-flopped it. So Roy is going to be a center for this team for the start of the tournament at least. I know his defense isn't quite as strong in the face-offs as some other centers, but just as such a good all-around player. I thought in real life he played so well at the tournament. He'd be fine in the third-line center. Nice energy guy, huge team player and temperament and all those things, determination. So just really good at any role he kind of plays. So he can move all around, be a key guy kind of all over the place. So really excited to I thought he'd be a good third line center there. So we got I didn't move this around actually. I fixed it in game, but not in here. Sorry, I just paused it for a second there, but we're back here. So yeah, really I got to change it on here, but yeah, for on this game lines, I have Roy in the center, and then on the wings I got Schaefer and Nadeau, which I really like for that third line. So I'll look at the profiles here. Schaefer is a 6'3", 221-pound monster left winger there that played on the dominant Seattle team. And the W just can hit as well as anyone on the team with his size and strength with 14 hitting. Has huge screening, can play in front of the net there offensively. Really good checking, stick checking. So everything's really good except for shot blocking. And then speed-wise, he's still a really good skater for World Junior standards. And a really solid all-around leadership. Just an incredible third-line winger. Could probably move him up to the first-line winger. He's that talented. But I just, with the team this good, it's not a big difference. I can move him around during the tournament, like I mentioned earlier. But really just thought he was just such a cool third-liner as like a power defensive shutdown line with how good of a hitter he is and just set the physical force in the game against the other team's number one line. So just kind of liked his fit there, but talented enough to play wherever. And then on the right side, on that third line, I got Nadeau. Nadeau is not quite as good defensively in hitting, but still really solid. Defensive read is probably the most important. I haven't figured out if it's positioning or defensive read is more important, but I know defensive read is very important. So having a 13 there makes him a little better defender than his all the yellow would indicate. And also just a really good skater and a fantastic shot for like a third line type player. Has really good high offensive ratings and again really good leadership quality. So just another guy that just fits in incredible in that third line. And then the fourth line there we have Gauchi in the center, and he's another big body guy. I really could see why in real life they made some of the picks they did. I kind of was like noticing some of the cuts they would have made and kind of know some of the guys' names, and a lot of the tiebreakers it seemed like came down to size because almost everyone they picked for the third and fourth line in real life was all these like 6'3" guys, and they passed over a lot of really good 5'10", 5'11" guys. They're like 170, 180 pounds. So you can really tell they designed the team to be incredibly physical. This guy is a lot like the third line left winger we just talked about, where he's a center in the fourth line for now. Those two guys are probably the best two hitters on the team. the Seattle guy I was just talking about, and then Zach here, another WHL guy. This guy's 15 hitting and 15 strength. So about as physical guys you'll see in this tournament probably. He can also play left wing, which I really like. So he's a fantastic player, made the team in real life too. And then on the last line on the left wing there, we got, let's see, Osta there and Stillman. Okay. Yeah, so sorry, he's actually playing left wing there. I forgot, I got him mixed up there. I think it's Gauthier in the middle. Gauthier is pretty much the same, just a little better offensively, which is why he's in the center. Plays for Quebec there. He is another physical power guy for the fourth line. So again, 6'3", ton of huge, lengthy guys here in these bottom six forward spots that are just fantastic at hitting. Got the grinder set up. And this is the last pick of the team, a very, very hard selection for me. I had a lot of guys to pick from, and no one was really a standout as a right winger. There's just right wing shots. The right shots are so rare on defense and offense. There's a lot of really good left wingers, and I was thinking about just taking a left shot guy and putting him on the right wing, but I figured I really liked having another right shot guy in case there was an injury. I didn't want to be stuck with only 2 right shot forwards. So I figured Chase Stillman was good enough. When I really looked at him, I really liked him as a fourth line guy. Very athletic, 6'1", pretty good length. Can also play a little bit of center, which is nice. Has really good skating and offensive ratings, and not quite as strong defensively as I was hoping for that fourth line guy, but he does have 13 hitting and 12 positioning, so he is really still decent there. Just not a standout defender and hitter like some of those other third and fourth line guys, but pretty good offensively and pretty good skating wise. And I really like that 15 team player and professionalism and all those things. Just reminded me of like a nice bottom line guy, just kind of like a good morale guy and leader and stuff. And he's on a really good Peterborough team that also made the Memorial Cup. So just a lot of things to like was kind of the tiebreaker there. And then the last extra forward, 13th forward, who's probably going to play quite a bit here is Riley Kidney. He has incredible ratings. I figure if there's any injuries to any of the big top 6 forwards, he'd probably slot in there as an offensive powerhouse. Really solid defender too. I might actually try to get him in a little bit on the third and fourth lines and sub some guys out, but just a really, really high passing really stood out to me in the agility and fantastic skater. He was having a really good season with over a point a game this year and had 100 points last year for the Q there in the junior hockey. So just a really, really good player to have as your like 13th forward type. Now on to the defense. The defense was pretty exciting. I took all 19-year-olds for defense. The main offensive key there as a defender is Brand Clark. He was the leading points getter of the defenseman at the tournament in real life. He was a cut the year before and then came back and just had a ridiculous 19-year-old season in the OHL this year. Absolutely dominant for the Barrie Colts. Incredible ratings. Probably the highest rated overall guy on the team, either him or Shane Wright at the top there. Just incredible how much blue he has in that profile. I'd probably make Y. Johnson the captain, and then he'll probably be the number 1 alternate, and then maybe Shane Wright will be the number 2. Brandon Clark is just incredible mentals and just a really, really cool all-around. So he's going to be the number 1 power play defenseman type on the right side there. Number 2 line defenseman. Yeah, second line defensive pairing is going to be Jack Mady. He's on the right side. He's a huge 6'5", so another OHL guy, him and Brandon Clark both, Ottawa guy, 6'5", 200 pounds, just a really solid all-around game. Pretty much has the same ratings in all 4 of the big categories: offense, defense, mental, and physical ratings. Just a fantastic hockey player. Really, really solid. I just liked him as a nice shutdown defender, a big 6'5" guy that can skate pretty decently. Just a pretty cool guy to have around. And then the third line, right D, I was just like the right wingers. Those right shot guys are really hard to find. There's a lot better options talent-wise on the left side, but I didn't want to take 4 or 5 left shot guys. So I figured I'd go with the best third right shot guy, Gannon Larocque. So this guy didn't make the team in real life. The other 2, Brandon Clark, I'll talk about that after, which guys made it and which guys didn't. But almost everyone on this team so far made it in real life, minus 1 or 2. I don't think that last 13th forward made it, or Larocque here, but this guy just has an incredible shot, really good skater for defenseman with fantastic strength and balance. So really good hitter as like a third pairing defender, and a guy that can kind of fill in on a power play as a pure offense guy with a huge shot in case Brandon Clark is tired or injured or suspended or something happens. So I just thought with how good his hitting is, he just kind of filled that dual offense and defensive role really nicely, and just really solid all around player. And he was captain of Victoria, team where he had a ton of points there. in the 2021 season, had 52 points for a team that wasn't high in the standings, I don't think. So just thought he deserved a spot. I really liked his makeup and his profile there. On the left side, I think on the first line, we have Ethan Del Mastro. So I made an all OHL first line between Brandon Clark and Del Mastro and the three forwards there, Shane Wright and Wyatt Johnson. It honestly wasn't really planned too much other than I kind of like the chemistry between the right winger Shane Wright and Ottman there. But I really did think this was the best first pairing defensively. With Clark had to be on the first line. And I wanted to pair him with a really stay-at-home type guy as the left shot guy on that first unit with Clark, because Clark's such an offensive guy. So I put him with Del Mastro, who's a 6'4", 210-pound powerhouse, 15 strength, 15 balance, almost the same as Matier on the right side, Matier or whatever, just like a left shot guy instead. But just a clone of that, like a stay-at-home type defense with monster hitting. And really good passing is what I can kind of separate him from the other two guys. The other two guys I was kind of considering the left side guys were all pretty equal. But Del Mastro was just... he just was such a good passer. I figured with how offensive Clark is and how much he likes to move the puck around, that would be a really nice pairing, and those two would be deadly together, and he can really lay the lumber there. So that first line is going to be really nice. So he's on the first line there, and then the second line, we have Olin Zellweger. This guy is just incredible. Really, really good defensive ratings. Probably the best defensive ratings in the entire team. Has a 15, 14, 14, and 13 positioning. Fantastic skater for a defenseman, 15 speed, 15 acceleration, really good mentals there. Team player is really high too, and has a really solid all-around offensive profile with a really high passing, puck handling. So you can really handle the puck on that second line, kind of be the offensive pairing type on the second line, because remember the 6'5" Ottawa guys on the second line. So that kind of is like reversed from the first line. This guy on the left side would be kind of the point man, and then stay-at-home guy on the right side. So I really like that pairing together as 19-year-olds. And this guy is just fantastic. He's such a good player. It was hard not to put him with Brandon Clark, but I figured I'd mix up the have one like 6'4", 6'5" guy in each line, and like Clark and Zellweger be kind of the movement defenders. So they kind of complement each other a little better. But yeah, this guy is hard to keep off that first line. You kind of want him playing with those elite forwards like Shane Wright and them. But either way, you're just so loaded. It kind of works either way. And then the third line, the third pairing defenseman is going to be Nolan Allen. Another W guy, a lot of nice physical WHL guys on these third and fourth lines and the third pairings. This guy is a 6'2" defensive guy. Just has a really good all-around game. Has a big shot there, 15 shooting range, solid shooting accuracy for a defenseman. Good puck handler also, really good, solid defensive ratings. Again, really good strength. A ton of huge guys on this team. Those other two defensemen, they're 6'5", 6'4", and then he's 6'2", and then Brandon Clark's 6'2", and so you just have a whole team of physical powerhouses. So Nolan Allen will be that third pairing guy. And then the extra defenseman is Tyson Hines, who's really similar. Him and Nolan Allen are just almost a dead heat. He's 6'3" and has almost the same ratings as Nolan Allen. Nolan Allen's shot was just a bit better, but really similar skating, defense, mentals, all that. So Tyson Hines will play a lot to just kind of rotate those bottom three defensemen really pretty equally there. So he's the extra guy there. And then that's it for the defensive pairings. And then just the goalies here. The starter here is going to be another Seattle Thunderbird, another dominant team. He was playing pretty well this year in the W, made it in real life, had really good positioning, solid ratings. And then the other guy that made it in real life, I picked again, Benny Goudreau, a former high draft pick in the OHL that isn't playing quite as good this year, so I'll probably give the starting spot to Mr. Seattle there, but Ben will probably play a little bit too. And then I wanted to take an 18-year-old to be the starting goalie next year. He was having an absolutely amazing season with Prince George this year. 21 games, he has a .916 save percentage. So I thought he would be a cool prospect to bring. I'd be able to have a returning goalie next year with the tournament with some experience. So you never know, he could end up playing this year if the other guys don't play well. But thought that was a good third goalie option. So really, if you look at the team, almost all 19-year-olds, I only brought Shane Wright, Fantilli as an 18-year-olds, and then the goalie. So I'm not really expecting any returning players next year except for the goalie. I know it's probably smart to bring one or two more 18-year-olds. I know in the game it doesn't really matter, but I just kind of like to pretend sometimes. But I know in real life there's a couple 18-year-olds that I cut that actually made the team in real life. Like Kevin Korchinski was a lefty who was like a top 7. He was a 7 pick of the draft in real life and made the team. But he was only 18, and I just liked all these 19-year-old defensemen so much. I figured he'd be back next year, hopefully. And lefty was just so loaded. I had so many good players there. Del Mastro 6'5", and then Allen 6'2", Hines 6'3", and then we have the really good two-way Zellweger guy. I thought he was too similar to Zellweger, and I figured I might as well go with the size and power for those third and fourth spots, give the 19-year-olds the upper hand, and let Korchinski be like the first line left pair guy next year, hopefully, unless he makes the NHL next year, we'll see. But that was kind of my thinking there. I just kind of went with the seniors there. And then Zachary Dean was a hard cut. He was a really solid 19-year-old. I just like Brett. Oh, that's why I didn't talk about Brett Harrison. So Brett Harrison was the one forward I didn't talk about. He was actually the extra guy. I picked him as the last spot. He's just a really good 6'2" forward who just had a really good all-around game. Not quite as physical as some of the other guys in the team with only 9 hitting and 5 shot blocking, but really solid skater, solid all-around game. Didn't have a huge weakness. Just thought it was kind of a nice pick for like kind of the extra forward. So I don't know if I actually remember to take him in the game here. Is he on here? I'll have to go back and fix that after. I think I might have actually forgot to add him. Unless he's listed at the wing here somewhere. So I guess I had, my math was a little bit off. Yeah, so in the game I showed on Excel I took him, but I actually took Riley Kidney instead. I think, so I'll maybe switch that up, but I'll think about that one a little longer. I think I like Kidney a little better. He's a little more high-end skater and offensive, and he's about the same defensively, but I'll review that after. But yeah, so that was the team this year. And like I said, there's not really any 18-year-olds. So next year's team is going to be pretty young. There's I'll talk about a couple of the top guys at the end of the episode here on the other teams and who I had to pass on. So my scout really liked some of these Q guys. I guess he had them a little heavier scouted than some of the other guys. So I actually didn't take Dumois. He was only 18 and he was a little small and not quite as physical. So I didn't think he was good enough to be on the first or second line at the offensive positions. And then I thought he was not a great fit for the third and fourth energy power lines I want some more size on. So I thought next year he'd be a good, probably like a top 6 winger for the team. But I thought maybe pass on him this year just because he was younger and has to develop his defense and hitting a little bit to be a good enough all-around player to get minutes on the third and fourth line. And then it was really hard passing on Zachary here. He was a really good offensive player on the left wing there. But just, again, not super high defensive ratings. Pretty solid, but not the ideal third or fourth liner, again, just like I mentioned before. And then this guy actually was MVP of the Memorial Cup, I think, in real life. Again, he was really good, but just for how good Team Canada is, if you're not good enough to be a top 6 forward, you have to be really good defensively and hitting. And he wasn't quite as good defensively as some of the other options, with pretty low in those 4 categories. So he was just a tough pass also. And then if you look here, you can make a filter for the young guys, so you can actually see the top guys for the teams in the next few years. So if you sort by 18-year-olds, there's a couple really nice-looking undersized centers here. They're really good offensively. They'll probably be good options next year. The next probably hardest cut defensively, the last pick between him and Larocque was actually Tristan Lanoux. He was a really high draft pick in the Q, I think first overall, and won Rookie of the Year, and then he was a second-rounder at Anaheim. Fantastic profile. Figure he'll be the number 1 right D next year, most likely. But didn't quite make the cut this year. I went with the 19-year-olds ahead of him, but hoping he'll be one of the best players on the team next year when I return, which will be fun. And then Owen Beck made the team in real life as an 18-year-old, and he is a guy that got drafted with the Montreal Canadiens, so he'll be on the team next year for sure. But this year I didn't take him, as there's just a lot of really good 19-year-old options I went with. But hopefully he'll be back next year too. So another guy that will definitely be on the team next year if possible. And then if you go down in the filter, you can go right down to 17-year-olds, see some of these superstars coming up. I almost took this 17-year-old. I was like, that's kind of crazy to not take any 18-year-olds and it'd be nice to have a returning star center next year. That was like would be elite, but I just couldn't take him over the older guys that were a little better defensively. But this guy's offensive game was just incredible. I thought I'd just let him prove himself a little more as a 17-year-old and still be good to definitely probably make teams 18, 19-year-olds. So just an absolutely fantastic underage player there. That's going to be absolutely amazing in the future. Very high NHL draft pick. I think he got drafted in real life this year. And then, so yeah, it'll be him and then Thomas Lavoie. I think this guy's crazy because he's 20 right at center and right D. I think he was the first pick of the Q last year and was really good as a rookie, and he's going to be a fantastic player. So yeah, that's another guy. Him and that other Q guy both be on the right side next year as right shot D, both 6'3" and athletic, both really good offensively. It looks a lot like a young Brand Clark, so probably be really similar, like fantastic offensive defenseman in the future. And then as crazy young he is, the exceptional player status, Michael Misa almost was in consideration this year. There's no way I could take a guy that was 15, but over a bunch of like 16, 17, 18-year-olds and all the 19-year-olds. But I think he'll have an actual shot next year as a 16-year-old. This dude is really special. The next in a long line of hyped up prospects that really lived up to the billing. He already has 20 points in 25 games and a +8 as a 15-year-old for Saginaw. So the guy is going to be an absolute lock for the team by the time he's 17. But next year will be interesting. His ratings are so high. I imagine he will be on the team next year. Looking at him now, but we'll see. That's going to be something to get excited about in the future. And then actual teammates of another Halifax Moosehead here, pretty solid, but not quite as superstar level as some of those other guys. And then there's one. I think there's one guy I'm not seeing here, the Kataneka guy in real life from the W. He is a Vancouver kid. He plays junior. I think he's supposed to be like a top 3 pick in the NHL draft next year. He's another guy that should be on the list here somewhere. But anyways, let's go to the other teams. So if you look at the schedule, we'll go to manager news, and then let's look at the other top teams. So Sweden is always fantastic. Just kind of go over their top players here. Sweden has Edvinsson here, who is just ridiculous. Oh man, he's playing the AHL this year. He's a +4 ±. The guy's going to be the most dominant defenseman at the tournament. Him and Brandon Clark. This guy is 6'6", and that kind of offensive game just absolutely ridiculous. He's a 6th overall pick a couple years ago there, so he is just he's going to be tough to deal with on Sweden. And then you got Lysell here. I think they have the guy that just went 3rd overall. Leo Carlson here. Young guy just went 2nd overall ahead of Fantilli in the real life draft last week. This guy is phenomenal. 6'3", 200 pounds. Just incredible ratings across the board. So Sweden has a few absolute rock star players to deal with this year. Czechoslovakia has I forgot about this guy. This guy Jarosek has insane ratings too. So a couple really standout defensive guys. Both are top 2 ranked players from my scouts' opinion. Our right shot D guys are just amazing. So that's going to be a team. And then 4 really good centers here. So a 17-year-old winger that looks pretty good. And a couple veteran centers here that look really good. So they'll actually be pretty solid too. World ranking of 6 there. And then who else we got here? I have to keep going back to the screen to get to the right thing. The United States, and then we'll look at Finland after. So the United States have Luke Hughes, the youngest Hughes brother. Just, oh man. So him and Brandon Clark are very similar, except Brandon Clark's right side, Luke's the left side, but really similar. I think Hughes' ratings are actually a tad higher than Clark. It's pretty close, but I think just a little bit of an edge has to go to Hughes here. It's how insane that puck handling and the range and the offensive radar and the skating. And oh my goodness, so many good defensive guys here. Logan Cooley is the guy that went really high in the draft. Superstar offensive player for the U.S. He's going to be a problem too, big time. And then Chaz Lucius here, 19-year-old who's playing the AHL this year. Just a really good all-around player. Not so good defensively, but still solid defensively, but just a lot better skating and offensive player. 6'1" there. And then, they have the other Michigan guy, Fantilli's teammate there, is Frank Nazar. A couple of really good players. I think Duke's at Michigan too. Really solid player. And then Pasta here. I love Pasta, man. I guess he got traded in the game. Looks like here. So he's got a lack of defense, but as a winger, it's not as important. Can really get it done in both the left and the right side on the wings there. And it looks like he got traded from Guelph to Barrie in the game. Don't know. Oh, he just, it looks like that was an interesting trade there. So that's pretty cool to see. So they're playing against Switzerland. Have any superstars here? Switzerland, not quite as strong as some of the other top teams by the ratings. And Finland would probably be the other powerhouse. World number 1, actually, ahead of Canada. Their top 2 players in the ratings are actually goalies, which is pretty crazy. 6'5", 234, and then the 6'4" guy. Both, this guy's actually only 18, so pretty insane here. Some of you probably heard about him before. He's pretty hyped up. And then Kemmel. Oh yeah, so they're yeah, this guy's insane. So yeah, they got he got the 17th pick of the draft last year, Kimmel here, who my scout thinks is pretty much the best winger in the tournament ratings wise, especially offensively. Just has incredible speed and explosiveness. Top tier, the highest rating I've seen in the tournament for speed, screening and getting open, and speed. And his offensive read and shooting, actually, pretty much all those things are at the top tier of this tournament. So he is going to be amazing. And then he'll be teamed up with Billy here on the left wing. He'll be a left wing right wing combination, and then so yeah, they're going to be really good here. Probably have this guy in the center. So Finland's going to be tough with a really good goaltending from the looks of it, and those guys. So that's it. I know this episode's gone really long, but I just thought it'd be a lot of fun to kind of go over in depth a lot about the Team Canada team I'm going to be using, and then see who we're up against here. So that will be it for this episode. The next episode, I'll probably do the playthrough for the whole World Juniors and see how it goes. Cheers.